Chapter 14. First time at the pond. Days in the village passed quickly one after another, filled with warm sunshine and cheerful adventures. The small fluffy goslings, recently hatched, had noticeably grown, and their noisy family was finding it too cramped to swim in the large old tire. They needed real space for swimming and development, and such a space was very close by, a large village pond that calmly shimmered in the valley across the road from their house on the hill. This pond was called Sixth because it was one of 12 that surrounded the entire village, giving the impression of a peninsula connected by numerous small dams that divided each body of water. And so, one warm morning, Grandpa, taking Adelina's hand, decided to lead the goose and gander with their yellow-sided little ones on their first real water outing. Of course, their inseparable companions, Jack, who always bustled nearby, and calm Star, who didn't like to stray far from her little mistress, also came along. The path to the pond led along a quiet village road, and then a winding path down the hill, where neighboring cows lazily grazed, occasionally swishing their tails to ward off annoying flies. Adelina carefully observed them, and Jack curiously sniffed the fresh tracks on the grass. Star, on the other hand, padded leisurely alongside, occasionally stopping to sniff an interesting flower. As they approached the pond's edge, they were met by the cool freshness of the water and the varied coastal vegetation. But the biggest surprise awaited Jack and Star. In the damp thickets near the water's edge, they noticed countless small nimble frogs. Greenbacks instantly disappeared into the water with a short plop as soon as the fluffy explorers got too close. Jack barked curiously at these elusive green specks, trying to catch at least one, but the frogs deftly hid in the cool depths. Star, meanwhile, cautiously crept to the shore, intently watching the frogs' jumps, but her feline curiosity quickly turned into lazy contemplation. The goose and gander, ignoring their noisy companions, confidently entered the water, calling their little goslings to follow. The goslings at first hesitated in the shallow water, but then, imitating their parents, one by one they began to comically splash in the water, paddling their tiny feet. They dipped their yellow beaks into the water, trying to find something there and emitting joyful peeping sounds. But the goslings were not alone in this wonderful body of water. In the reeds that grew green along the shore, many wild ducks swam with their model ducklings. And further out, in the deeper part of the pond, several pairs of snow-white wild swans gracefully glided, surrounded by their gray fluffy cygnets. Grandpa and Adelina comfortably settled on the soft grass under a sprawling willow, watching this cheerful spectacle. Jack was irrepressible, running along the shore after the frogs, and his energy seemed boundless. And Star, finding a cozy spot under the warm sun's rays near Adelina, contentedly stretched out on the green grass and narrowed her green eyes. Perhaps she was simply enjoying the warmth, or perhaps she had dozed off to the gentle lapping of the water. Several hours flew by unnoticed. The goslings were now confidently swimming, diving, and playfully splashing in the water, occasionally glancing curiously at the wild ducks and majestic swans. Finally, the goose and gander decided that the first time was enough and led their little ones to shore. Grandpa and Adelina got up, and they all set off on the return journey home. Many more water adventures awaited the goslings, as the pond had become a new, interesting world for them, which they could now reach on their own, having learned the simple path from their home to the pond and back.